Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, spiritual magic, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm located in beautiful, sunny North Hollywood, California.
My name is Stephanie Orlina. I am a transformational life coach and I help people transform and connect to their inner power. And I am in San Diego, California today.
We want to thank you so much for watching or listening, whichever you're doing today. Each week we start our conversation here on the podcast from a different jumping off point. And this week's episode, which by the way, congratulations to you, the listeners, viewers, and ourselves. This is episode 22 of season 4. It'll be the final episode of our 4th season. Never fear, we are starting with episode 1 of season 5 next week, so there'll be no interruption in episodes. But this is the conclusion of season 4. So congratulations, Stephanie.
Wow. Congratulations, Collin.
Season 4. Thank you.
Congratulations, Co-Creation Station with Collin and Stephanie. Yes. Season 4, episode 22. Woo.
I remember thinking, like, just really quick, I think when we finished our first season, we celebrated because I drove down to San Diego.
Look, we met in Laguna Beach.
We met in Laguna
You drove
Beach.
Down, I drove up. Yeah,
which
was
for
awesome. Oh my gosh,
Laguna Beach is like the halfway point between San Diego and Los Angeles, or North Hollywood, where I live. Yeah, and I remember thinking, like, wow, we did a whole season. And thinking like that was like this gigantic mountain that we had climbed together, and it's like now we've done 4. It's like holy what? And
4. We need to celebrate. We really,
yeah.
I think in the 2nd or 3rd season we celebrated individually, but we haven't celebrated collectively since that first season. So something to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was mentioning it to someone the other day, and they're like, oh wow, that's right. And I'm like, yeah, and we're finishing up season 4, and they're like, wow. And I'm like, oh my god, I know. And so anyways, okay,
I think we're still the other thing is I want to have a celebration on the show of our 100th episode, and I keep forgetting when that is going to occur because we've done different numbers of episodes in different seasons.
We're getting close. We are getting
close. I gotta
if we have 4 seasons and they're all in the 20s.
Yeah.
And then we did that one season that was like 34 or something.
Yeah.
It was quite a bit more. So it'll be in season 5.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll watch out for that as well. But yeah, it's been I think one thing that's been really cool. I don't know when we sort of figured this out, but I feel like we sort of know what the show is now. And like I think we had great ideas for it when we first started, but definitely during season 1, like we covered I mean, I think the podcast overall umbrella topic has always been the same since the first episode, but I think we've focused in more on like what you do in your coaching and with the law of attraction and art of allowing, and my experiences with that, and
both of us.
It feels like in most we record every other Sunday now. Like I feel like we start the show and like I know what we talk about.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like it's not some great mystery. So anyway, well, again, congrats to our viewers and listeners as well. Thank you so much for listening for a whole season.
Thank you all. Thank you. And we love hearing from you all. You contact us in various ways via social media, whether it be Facebook or Messenger on Facebook or, Instagram or texting us. And I just have to say, Collin and I, we love it. So thank you so much. We're, when you love an episode or you're going through something and that episode really helps you out or as in today. So Jacqueline, I had posted on Facebook that I'm looking for a place, and I reposted today, and she was so sweet. And she's like, it's done, it's done, it's done, exclamation mark. And literally moments before I went to go look to see if anybody had responded, I was thinking in my head, Stephanie, it already happened. It exists. You already have your place. Like, you're just walking through the process right now.
Yeah.
And then I look, and Jacqueline had posted that, and I was like, yeah, girl, I was just thinking that. Thank you. It was really beautiful, So we love interacting with you. So thank you so much for all of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking, transitioning in, like, what I'm currently walking through. And I don't know if anyone can relate, but when we have a problem or we don't know something and we're trying to figure out how, if it's possible, or what I've been doing recently is imagining what I don't want instead of really focusing on what I do want, but was about being present. Really being present in this moment of, like, earlier when you and I had our friend time, it's like, Steph, just be really present. Don't be on your phone. Just listen to Collin. Just, like, really be present with what he's saying. And because sometimes when we start our friend time, I'm still, like, trying to get myself together and, like, turning off, things on my phone so we don't get interrupted. And but for me, today is about, this has been a 3-year journey. The divorce is final. It was final in November. And now I'm needing to move out, and I'll be moved out by the 31st of December. And I'm, doing the footwork. And what I've been telling myself the whole time is just do the next indicated thing. Like, you don't need to know where you're going to live right now. You're obviously not ready. You're preparing. So it's okay that you don't know. But what's happened is, like, being really present, because what I realize is, like, I'm not the same woman I was 3 years ago because of everything that's happened and all that I've walked through. Like, when I think about who I am today, oh my God, I am stronger than I was 3 years ago, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so that's where I was thinking, being present, enjoying, and looking for the good in it. And even though this was not the path I really wanted to go down, it was something that I needed to do for my future and my dreams and desires. And then just, like, so many people have helped me walk through this journey. And I recently thanked them and celebrated with them and just told them how much I appreciated them for helping me get to where I am today, because my journey would have been quite different had they not been with me. And then just being like, I really wanted this in the sense of, I no longer wanted to be married to my ex-husband. And I'm here now. Like, I'm I'm officially an unmarried woman. And just, like, this is part of the journey. And just enjoying where I am and looking for the good. And it's like, I got in touch a couple of days ago with remembering, like, who I was before, in the sense of, I've owned, in my lifetime, I purchased 2 properties at different times in my life. Yes. For those of you on YouTube, just 2. The inside joke Collin and I have, I'm always putting my fingers up with the number.
Making sure
as if we're in kindergarten. Here's 3. This is 2. And connecting with her, like, Stephanie, you've done certain things before in your life. And I had kind of forgotten about that, like, how what I've accomplished in my life, the things that I have experienced. And now, going out on my own with my higher power and my inner being, like, totally, like, holding my hand, going before me, got my back, surrounded by all the physical and non-physical support that I've had all along, that we all do, right? And while I'm kind of, like, unknown, or where, I'm going to lay my head down by January 1st of 2023, just being, like, present in the moment. And I have a ton of support, and it's fucking awesome. Like, I'm in awe of my support system that I've created over the years, and especially in the past few, like, where I'm at today. Like, there has been some shifts that have occurred in the past 30 days that I'm in awe of. And just kind of basking in that, also, while I'm, like, flip-flopping, like, pancaking, like, flipping a pancake over, going, oh shit, I'll be driving, I'm like, And then at times I'll be like screaming out with joy
Wait,
while I'm
in that
driving.
metaphor, are you I just want to be clear. In that metaphor, are you the pancake?
No, I'm not the pancake.
What's the pancake? Your world?
The pancake is the thoughts of like
Oh,
fear
oh,
or
okay,
positivity, or like, focusing on the lack of what I want, the fear thoughts, and then flipping the
gotcha.
pancake and being like, it's all good. Like, higher power's got me. It's already done, whatever it may be. But just
Okay.
the flipping of the pancake is like that better feeling thought. Mm.
I feel like that's gonna become shorthand now. I'm just like, the pancake thing.
Mm.
Like, we'll have to put a disclaimer in, like, if you don't know what the pancake thing is, please listen to season 4, episode 22.
So being present, enjoying and looking for the good in it, whatever
Mhm.
you may be walking through right now, whether
Yeah.
it's all good, whether there's some good, some not so good.
And just really quick, I have a number of thoughts that I jotted down about what you said, but just really quick, I watched, and I won't go into any details about it, but I watched a documentary series, season 2 of this documentary series on HBO this past week, and I realized after watching it, and there's some rough stuff in it, but mainly it's a good story. It's some bad stuff happened, but the main thing at the end is like the forces of love and caring won victory over not so good
Always,
forces.
always.
um, but I realized, you know but there is this sort of like asterisk on the story, which is there's still some not so great stuff happening in relation to this thing. And I realized I was talking to a friend of mine about, because they had never heard of this documentary or whatever. I was explaining what happened, and I realized as I explained it to my friend, I really focused on that thing at the end where they tell you there's a little bit of not so great stuff still happening. And like 95% of the journey in the 6 episodes is the good thing happening. And I focused on
Wow,
the little thing
right?
at the end where they're like, the whole problem's not solved. And I'm like, yeah, oh, and it's
And we
like,
do that. We
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
And that's when yeah, I think it's a lifelong journey, like
yeah.
just of like noticing things. And I think back of, it's so funny, oh my gosh. So I have been going through, I have in my office on my bookcase the bottom part, and it's probably 6 feet high and maybe like 2.5 feet wide. The bottom shelf was just all like old journals.
Mhm,
So I was, because I'm just like thinning everything down. I've lived here for 25 years. I'm not taking everything with me. A
mhm.
lot of these things of who I was, it's not who I am or who I'm becoming. So I was going through journals, and I stumbled upon oh shit, I lost my thought. Ugh! Well, one of the things I stumbled upon, I totally lost it. I don't even know where I was going with this. Oh, son
It's
of a
okay.
gun.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk about is I think it's a challenge just in general, but when you're trying to when anybody's trying to navigate through the crazy thing that human life on this planet can be. But I think when you start understanding the law of attraction, you start trying to practice the art of allowing, or whatever you understand that to be,
Mhm.
um, it becomes especially challenging, potentially, the fact that there is, when we talk about the law of attraction, the art of allowing, we talk a lot about the future. We talk about allowing
Mm.
in
Oh,
future
so
things you want
true.
into your life. Like,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
while you were going through the process of your divorce, you had some of your attention from time to time on now, on manifesting, being over, you being sort of free to move on, all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
But it can be tricky because, and I think that's one thing that in the film The Secret, that which was my kind of doorway to all this sort of philosophy.
I just remembered what it was. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Um, when I first watched The Secret, I think I realized, like, oh, they do show you the sort of two pieces of like there's a whole section in the film about being grateful in the present as a way of, working well with the law of attraction in terms of bringing good stuff into your life. um but I don't know, it's 95% of the film is about how to attract a better future for yourself.
Right.
And I think the danger there is that the point of using the art of allowing to have a better life is to have a lot of awesome presents, a lot of
Yeah.
awesome present moments. It's not
Right.
to just constantly be thinking about awesome futures all the
No.
time,
Yeah.
because that
Right.
defeats the purpose. Like the purpose of attracting an awesome thing to come into your, to manifest into your life in the future is so that when it arrives, at that time you will spend your present moment enjoying it. But
Right.
the danger is that as humans we can always get focused on the future, and it's really easy to distract ourselves from the present by thinking about the future. That's a struggle I have still to this day, and as you say, it's a lifelong project,
Mm-hmm.
of getting better at that kind of dance between, I want to be able to enjoy my present and feel grateful and really soak up and savor the wonderful things that come into my life. At the same time, being clear about the things that I want to manifest in the future,
Mm-hmm.
so that I'm practicing the art of allowing, and I'm working with the law of attraction to bring some more good stuff in, but not getting into this trap of like, because where that can eventually lead is you're attracting good stuff all the time, but you're constantly dissatisfied and upset
Well,
because,
negating it because,
yeah,
oh, this hasn't happened
yeah,
yet, and
exactly.
therefore,
Yeah.
and it's almost like living for the future and not enjoying the present. And Abraham is all about, you know, being in the now, whether, it's always now, whether I'm thinking about the past, the present, or the future. But that it's important for me to enjoy the journey, feel good now, like what I was talking about is, enjoying and looking for the good in it because I'm living now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of juicy things, like, he and I had a conversation the other day about, money and just wrapping things up, and I just remember feeling so grounded and confident, and I waited until I was really clear on what I needed to say in numbers, and then we had this amazing interaction, and there was no arguing. He needed to explain to something to me because I had forgotten about something and didn't know about another thing.
Mm.
We just had this respectful, loving, calm talk about money. And I walked away going, wow, that is amazing. And it's pretty much always been that way. And even when things have got a little like some, you know, if someone raises their voice, it's like, wait a minute, no, let's just calm down, we're just
Yeah.
stepping away. Um, and I just walked away from that, and I just felt so much appreciation for who I am and who he is, and my growth and my expansion, that I could do that. Like, that took a lot of many years of personal
Yeah.
growth and self-help and all that I do to be able to come in that, moment and have that type of conversation, because that may not always be the case.
Yeah, and related to that, you said something earlier that I wanted to expand upon, which is that it's so easy to forget, or not, maybe forget isn't exactly the right term, but like sort of have it fade into the woodwork and not think about all the amazing stuff that you have attracted into your life.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
for me, I've been practicing the art of allowing to a better and better degree, never perfectly,
Right. Yeah.
always improving, but for many years now. And it's still, there are still moments where my brain's default when I start thinking about my life or my day or whatever is to focus on the problems, threats, and dangers, like that,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lizard brain thing of like, what do I
Right.
have to
Yeah.
worry about, instead of, and I almost have to, consciously choose like, whoa, like for years, my first 5 years in Los Angeles, I didn't have my own apartment, and I remember thinking a lot like, like a lot of people do these days. Um, oh, real estate prices in, Southern California and LA are just so high. Like, I have such a good deal at this place where I'm sharing the house and I have reduced rent. I'll never be able to afford my own place. And like I was, sort of creating more of that,
Yeah,
and it's like it took a lot of practice. And I was a client of yours at that time, and that's one of the things I think we worked on was just like not necessarily like moving tomorrow, but like understanding that like, okay, I'm not super happy. I'm grateful for what I have here in this house sharing arrangement, but I would like more privacy. I'd like more space for myself. I'd like to have more control over my environment, so that I'm not negotiating that with a roommate or housemate. And then, like, years later, here we are. And I've
yeah,
been here
yeah,
for 3, 4 years now.
yeah.
And it's so easy for me to wake up in the morning and ignore this, and focus on
Mm,
like what I don't have today, and the
yeah,
future that,
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
comparing a
yeah,
future where I have
yeah.
something I want to where not having it now and being like, and I miss the fact that like this apartment didn't exist for me in my life, 5 years
Physically,
ago.
but you had created it. You were
Right.
creating it in those moments when you were
Yeah.
living in those roommate situations. And then talk about the whole rocket of desire. When you
Yeah.
knew what you didn't want, you shot out this rock energetically. It was created and it was being held for you in what we call the vortex,
Yep.
in a vibrational reality that exists, for all of us. Whatever we have asked for, it's all there for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a challenge. And you said it so perfectly. I get to consciously choose what
Hmm.
I focus on. And when you said that, I was like, ding, 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 ding. Like
Yeah.
that's the prize right there, because it is in the moment, and we do it. I love saying perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
I live life perfectly imperfect. I practice the art of allowing perfectly imperfect. I'm a human being perfectly imperfect. And we just do the best we can. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was forgot earlier was that, so while I was going through my journals and keeping the ones I wanted and then letting go of the ones I didn't, I came across like so many like 3x5 index cards, journals that were predated The Secret, like
Mhm.
2003, 2005,
Yeah.
2004. And I'm like, oh my God. Because that for me is like the point of when I feel like, I became aware of Abraham and the teachings of Abraham and started, practicing those off and on. But really, for me, it was really when I bought the Tony Anthony Robbins Personal Power. It was on QVC and totally predating. And it was a VHS set. It was like a 5-pack or 4-pack, and it came with like a little notebook, and it was like writing
That's
down dreams and goals.
for our younger listeners and viewers, that's what a video used to be. It was literally a big plastic
Yes.
cassette that
Ask
you
your
would put in a
parents.
physical machine.
Ask your parents or grandparents. They will
Yeah.
know. And so I thought, oh my gosh. So, and then even when I was in my 20s, my friend at the time had given me a cassette. Same thing. Ask your parents, grandparents. It was an audio, how we could play audio and material. And it was of Wayne Dyer.
Mm.
He was my first introduction that I can remember into personal growth and self-help. And I listened to that. It was really good. And then years later buying, Anthony Robbins. And that really set me off to like, okay, like what is it that I want? What can
Yeah.
I, my dreams and
I
goals.
remember this whole discussion brings to mind a memory of I remember I had a friend at one point that we were talking every day because we were both having challenges in various areas, and we just found it helpful. For I think we did it for a couple months where we just checked in every day, weekdays. We took the weekends off. Just checked in with each other. And I remember at that time, I was working, and my financial situation was not fantastic, but it was decent and it was improving. I think I was practicing the art of allowing at that point. I think it was probably right at the beginning of when I was your client. Um, but he was looking for a job, and he was sending out resumes like every single day. Like he had some sort of target number of like 1 hour per day or 2 hours per day. I don't remember what it was, but he would work on sending out resumes, looking for job opportunities, listings, and stuff like that, and networking with people he knew and asking 3 people if they knew of any job opportunities or something like that. So he had this like pretty diligent, manageable program that he was doing every day of like, I'm going to spend 1 or 2 hours doing these things, which was fantastic and was inspirational to me. But like when we would talk on the phone, I just remember, and I mean, I'm using his as an example, but I mean, I related so much because I'd been there so many times myself. He was like freaking out about the fact that he still didn't have a job and freaking out about money. And one of the things that I tried to do was to bring him to the present. You know, it's like, do you have enough money today? Do you have, because he had a friend that was letting him stay at their place. He had a car, and he did have money. He was watching his checking account or whatever savings account like go down to zero, but he had money that day. And I was like, trying to share with him my experiences with the art of allowing. It's like the problem is I'm sure I'm paraphrasing what I said, but I'm like, you're gonna get a job. Like that's already determined.
Nice.
Not just what we talk about, but I mean, he was doing the things that get you a job. I mean, he was getting up every day and doing the things that he needed to do. I was like, the only question here is how long it's going to take. And I was like,
yeah, so true.
If you stay in these fear thoughts all day long every day, like if you do your 1 or 2 hours of work and then you just stay scared all day, it's gonna take longer.
So counterproductive, right?
Because you're in the energy of allowing when you're doing these work things,
right?
Looking for a job, but then as soon as you're done with that, you're like telling the universe, well,
it negates it all, right?
Well, you're shifting. I guess the way you would have me talk about it is he's shifting his vibration from allowing to resistance.
Right. Yeah.
And so the law of attraction is like, oh, okay. And then it's like, oh.
Moving forward. Yeah. Things are shifting. And then it's like,
okay. Okay.
It's almost like the Monopoly game where he's like doing the jobs and he's going past go and he's, moved next. And then as soon as he stops taking those actions and then he starts he's talking to you and he's like, yeah, but I'm not fine. And then he's moving backwards on the board game.
And
it's his dance, right? Of going backward, forward, backward, forward.
Yeah. But I mean, I relate. I don't want to single out my
me too.
Like,
me too.
Like
me
that's
too.
what I can do if I don't catch myself now. I can do exactly the same thing. I can just have that thought, and it's like, oh yeah. But that's why I'm so glad you brought up this particular topic, because everything he was worried about was in a future that, by the way, didn't happen. Like his worry was like a future where he never got a job and he ran out of money and his life was just like destroyed. That never happened.
So what happened?
But he was in the fear. He was in the fear of it every day. But that was my thing, is like, no matter how, this was another thing I wanted to bring up, was that one thing I suggested to him, which I got from this watching The Secret, is that thing about gratitude. It's like, I understand you have this big challenge, difficulty, whatever you want to call it. That's legit, we all need to eat. We need to pay rent. Like, not having an income source is a legitimate thing to put your attention on in a certain way. But the thing is like, you have good stuff today. Like, you have good stuff today. You have this challenge. I'm not telling you to just ignore the challenge and act like it's not there, but just don't also eliminate all the good things you do have. You have our friendship. You have the friend that you're living with that you say you enjoy spending time with them. You have your hobbies and passions, that you're working on, even though you're in this, particular situation. He
has gas in the car, money in the bank, food in the fridge, clothes on his back, a roof over his head.
Yeah.
And he's totally being guided.
2 amazing sons, 2 amazing young children at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You know, who were the joy of his life, and he was still getting to see and everything, and you know, play with them and take them to places and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it's just so easy to, you know, we've talked about before, there is this phenomenon that we now understand about in studies about the brain called the spotlight effect, where the brain on purpose will focus on something that it views as a danger or a threat to us and like blow it out of proportion. And the underlying survival reason to that is our brains want to make sure that we focus on things that might threaten our existence and take care of them, you know. So there's a good motive in that thing that the brain does. The problem is it can really distort what's going on for us and make us feel like the only things that are happening in the present are negative. But if we actually look at it, it's like, oh, that's a number one, that's in the future. Number two, it probably won't happen. Yeah. Or at the very least, it may not happen. So why am I worrying about it? Like,
most of the time,
definitely happening.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the percentage is, but it's really high.
57.
95 of those things that I worry about that might happen have never happened. And I was, you know, so now knowing that, you know, I have just a few weeks left here, there are certain things that I really love, and I'm doing my best to bask in them. Like this morning, I have this thing where after I make my bed and I'm getting up, and you know, there's French doors in my master bedroom, and there's this beautiful pine tree. I don't know, did I ever tell you the story about the pine tree? That I love? Like maybe 10 years ago, I fell in love with pine trees, and I just was like, and across the canyon from us, it's all evergreens. It's gorgeous. The view is gorgeous. And I've sat back there and I'm like, you know, I really want a pine tree, but I don't want it in the yard because I don't want pine needles on the roof. I don't want them in the yard. And I don't want it to block the view. But you know, so I just had this love affair with pine trees. And then one year we had just had the deck redone. The spa was put in, a new beautiful swing that I love. And I look over to the right and there's this pine tree. It's about 4 feet tall. And my mouth fell open, my eyes got wide big, and I'm like, oh my, and it is in the perfect spot. So now it's probably 20 feet tall now. And so when I use my thumper, my massager, I open up the blinds, I look out at it, and sometimes the birds are on it. There's a hummingbird at the top, whatever. The clouds are in the background, there's blue sky. And I'm just like, thank you, God. And I love the pine cones and the pine needles, and it's just I'm gonna cry. It makes my heart sing. I love it so much. And every day I see it and I appreciate it. And so now I'm just like, today I was like talking to it. I'm like, thank you so much. Using the massager. I'm like, thank you so much. I love you so much. I love your pine cones and your pine tree. You have brought me so much joy over the years. I just got chills up my legs. And I adore you so much. And then my next thought was, I wonder what God's going to give me next. Like, what is my view? Because I love my view. It's one of the things I love most about living here. What's my view going to be next? And so it's, you know, not always in that space, but today I was, and it just feels so much better than that other side of the pancake.
But I think you framed that really well in terms of the balancing act that is like the optimal, which again, we're probably never going to hit it perfectly, but like to try to practice savoring the wonderfulness of what you have in the present, whatever that may be. Right. And then allowing a better future to arrive at the same time, not saying things that block good things happening in the future, but also not focusing so much on good stuff in the future that you ignore the present or you look at it negatively. Yeah. It's a balancing act, but if you practice, you can get better at it.
And it really, all of this is everything we talk about is just a practice to the best of our ability. Practice.
Allen Iverson, respect to the legend. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching to us today. We hope you got something out of this discussion.
Season 4, holla in the can.
Season 4 is is a wrap. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
going on this journey with us on this season. We're really grateful for your support, and for, again, as to reiterate what Stephanie says, for those of you who contact us and let us know that you're enjoying or appreciating the episode or a particular thing that we brought up. We really appreciate hearing that back from you. Thank you so much. At this point, we are still posting a brand new episode every Monday morning. So even though this is the final episode, episode 22 of season 4, episode 1 of season 5 will be up next Monday at the time that we're, in 2022 here when we're doing these. We do appreciate you doing whatever your platform that you're consuming us on allows you to do to support us. Like us, follow us, subscribe to us, leave us a comment, writing us a review. All of that helps other people find the show also, which is really awesome. All our social media links and our email address are in the doodly-doo on the YouTube version. And we wish you a happy and abundant week. Thank you so much again for an amazing season 4. We're both tremendously excited about what is all the magic and surprises that will come in season 5. And we look forward to seeing you then on the next episode of Co-Creation Station. Bye, everybody.